Welcome to the Poetry Fest 2022, year 7. We went virtual for somewhere between 2 and 3 years. We have not been here, and now we are back. I'm not sure how that works. We'll just understand. Bill, please say something. This is my co-director, Bill Blavity.
Hi.
I haven't been on a stage in 2 years. If you're from New Orleans, I'm Megan Burns. I hosted down here and ran readings for, 17 years, and would get on stage and talk endlessly. And I learned during the pandemic, ongoing as it is, but what I did learn in the time that we weren't on stage is that I actually like maybe not hosting and being on stage. And what I like instead is getting lots of other people to host. One of my favorite things at the Blood Jet Reading Series is when we would do a reading within a reading series. I don't know why, but it thrilled me, this meta factor. So, I love the idea that Splice is allowing us to be in their reading space with Tilted House, a reading series, inside the reading series of the New Orleans Poetry Fest opening reading series tonight. Did I get it right? I had no idea. All right, I'm gonna welcome up to stage Cameron Lovejoy. There you are. He's gonna host this out. Thank you for coming to the New Orleans Poetry Fest. Let's go.
Wow, hello everybody. This is lovely. Yeah, I'm a part of Tilted House, and it's really fun to be kind of helping coordinate this with the Kooks who run the Splice reading. Thanks for having us. I'm one of the editors of Tilted House, and we do a lot of like hand-bound, small-run letterpress books, including a literary journal twice a year, and our first reader is coming up in the next issue, and next month. But our books are over there. We've got broadsides and other things. And here is our introduction. Once more?
Louder.
Louder? Louder? All right. A poetry book comes with a built-in microscope. This bulb in this microscope sits in its reflective housing and shines on whatever concept the poet has chosen. This book centers on illness, that book sexuality, this book climate change. But the bulb in Daniel's first book, Anatomy of Want, is too large to fit in any microscope, too complex to be traffic control, and too active to be a floodlight. The reach of these poems is radial. They perform more like a lighthouse, articulating in all directions, covering all ground, leading us towards it. Once we have arrived, we can see that it does indeed have a center, but it's peripatetic, protean, and pulls against itself like a finger trap. Where is the gear shift for desire? What flavors are your lovers? And where and what is the fabric of God? These are just a few, albeit big, questions in Anatomy of Want. In a Western tradition, these poems beckon the Bible, Greek mythology, lilies, and the body. And then on the next page, we're in the Quran, or weeping with Siddhartha. And then we find ourselves in a capitalist hellscape, carrying X-Acto knives with the Hardy Boys. Even Martha Stewart pays a visit. This variegation is reflected not only in the meat, but in the cuts, from multiple choice to free verse, ghazals to sonnets. And it doesn't just rub one out for the sake of getting it everywhere. There is a meticulous arrangement of lamps and lenses that signal God through lust and devour in furtherance of growth. To understand our speaker and perhaps ourselves, we must radiate outwards, throwing light on all corners of the planet. Daniel is a third-generation refugee born in Kuching, Malaysia, to an ethnic Cantonese family who fled wars in China and then Vietnam. He was raised in Chicago, then moved to New York City, where he earned his MFA from the New School in 2006. He then relocated to Seattle, and now lives in New Orleans, where we are more than ecstatic to have him. Please join me in welcoming Daniel W.K. Lee.
Holy shit, that intro was amazing. Can you just like write that up again and then send it to Publishers Weekly? That would be really great. I've got some housekeeping. First, again, thank you, Cameron, for that amazing introduction. to Sean for inviting me to participate. I also need to thank my benefactor level Patreon patrons, Levi Brzezinski, Shane Lucas, and Diane Stabline, who supports all the business part of my creative life. And now my 20-second TED Talk. The Black Lives Matter movement has reminded us all that transforming a society means we must challenge systems of control. In publishing and literature, that means we must practice our own interventions against the gatekeepers and tastemakers who leave us off the pages or off the stages. So if we're serious about creating a literary landscape that is more equitable, I ask each and every one of you, who are the BIPOC writers you are personally amplifying or challenging? Who are you redirecting some of that limelight toward so that other deserved voices might be heard? So I usually like to read or start off with a poem by a queer BIPOC poet that you may not have heard before. And so tonight I am going to read a piece by Columbus, Ohio-based poet Travis Chi-Wing Lau from his book Pairing. And this poem is called Still Life. Who am I to consign to dull wax a life that refuses to still? Living is about waxing before the waning comes, before the lids tighten into murders, indexing a tremor that fruits without notice until its warm presence insists. Beside me, he wanders until he finds his breath, labor in spite of his own knack for obscurity. A choreography of suffering in the precise angling of his head, arrested and reared back, trammeled by fields of pain from which there is no return. Only the violation of a contract as a lifelong breather, he who must now consent to the resignation of a mouth, one no longer able to be shaped into its natural, joyous O. So who here has been to Seattle?
Yeah.
One person, two people. Okay, so who that has been to Seattle has ever been to the Salon of Shame? No?
I did one here a couple years ago.
Oh, okay, so you're familiar with the concept. So the Salon of Shame, for those who don't know, is a reading where people, they read from their journals from when they were like 12, 15, 16. It is riotous. It is an ab workout and hilarity. It's incredibly embarrassing, and it's the best thing about Seattle. Okay, it's actually the best thing about Seattle. So I live there, so I can drag that place if I want to. So this is my own little version of that. I'm going to read the titles of 4 poems that I wrote in high school. And after I read them, this audience will decide which poem from my high school years I will read for you. It's going to be incredibly embarrassing, but I think it'll be really hilarious and fun. Okay, so the titles are Submission, Stairwell Rendezvous, To the 5-Minute Friend, and Daydreamer. There's another one, but I swear to God, the way I wrote it is so idiotic that I could not even read it now in front of you, so we're not doing that one. It's called Mindful Resistance, and so I'm sure it's just trash. So, okay, by round of applause or holler, who wants to hear Submission? Okay, Stairwell Rendezvous. To the 5-Minute Friend. Goodness. And Daydreamer.
Yes.
this is the semifinals. All right, Stairwell Rendezvous. And To the 5-Minute Friend. This is, okay, I think To the 5-Minute Friend won. This is, I think maybe junior or senior year I wrote this, thinking I would be maybe a spoken word artist. But you know, when you're 15, you say, okay, here we go. Okay, To the 5-Minute Friend. You are the hemorrhoid on the ass crack of human contempt. Don't try to cheer me up with your pseudo-sympathetic attempts to find out what's wrong. Do you know what's wrong? What's wrong is your quasi-concern about my emotional distress, my psychological warfare, my expressed self-loathing. You don't give 3 shits about that or me, so why don't you find yourself a little forest, sit under a tree, and talk to the animals like Snow White? I'll be the jealous queen bitch mum from hell plotting to poison your happy ass, but in this version, I don't die, I can't die, I'm an angel of one-sided justice, and court is in session, so defend yourself uselessly against my self-righteous cynicism. I enjoy the theatrical hysteria. Perform with every particle of your being. Demonstrate the worthiness of your life under 60 seconds, and maybe, just maybe, I'll forgive you. That is just awful, and I really thought I was hot shit. I think I actually read that at a senior year, what is it called? Talent show. Yeah, I'm sure they love that. I went to a Catholic parochial school. Yeah. I don't think I said ass though. That would have been, yeah. But that would have been a thing. Okay. All right, so some poems that I wrote in, the last at least decade. The first one is called Doom Scrolling. Rolodex of triggers, propelled by headlines like gondola oars. Florida Senate approves highly contested Don't Say Gay bill. International mining company destroyed indigenous land, spied on reporters in Guatemala. Tornadoes kill 7 in Iowa. Horrors garnished to clickbait, welcome warnings, translucent rectangles, feigned sensitivity, get smeared away. Our eyes are the fish's gaping maws, skull meat punctured, hooked from inside gathered sounds. Blinking, handcuffed, tongue arrests its clucking. Ukraine condemns atrocities as Russia bombs maternity hospital. US releases mentally ill torture survivor held at Guantanamo for 20 years. Confirmed global 19 death toll passes 6 million. Now's not the time to be voracious. If Russia stops fighting, there will be no war. But if Ukraine stops fighting, there will be no Ukraine. What we're seeing is a national, well-funded effort to attack and eradicate trans youth and trans lives. Our dependency on oil means we depend on tyrants. Jockeying for feelings like glitter-glazed throws, a banal carnival revelry, better off getting off. Cherry trees. There's an epigraph. On September 24th, 2020, the Trump administration executed Christopher Villalba, the first person in more than 70 years to have been federally slain for crimes committed as a teenager. They became my cherry trees, Mama. I could not, gun in hand, guilty as Washington's hatchet, make truth a virtue. I want to say my cruelty ended there on the dirt road where Stacy and Todd crumpled as only bodies can when pierced with bullets. That redemption started then. But I know that when we snatch lives, those who love them hold them as embers, the burning I stuffed into their fists. And it all became your burden, death row your burden, commissary allowance your burden, long drives for prison visits your burden, every day I breathed your burden. If you are reading this, you know I've at last walked dead. An eye executes an eye, so everyone sees blood. The law does not recognize forgiveness. One day, your love, maybe one day, your love will change things. Former fat kids. I was a former fat kid, so. Could we ever again be close to thunder after the epithets ceased rumbling? Practice perfected our thunder parts, thighs, butt, belly. Red velvet cake as recreation, dressed po' boys as religion, clean plates as obedience. Our DNA drew a disposition for broader shadows like welcome mats inviting ridicule and stones. My friends called me Lard-ass Lee. Call it filial piety or Chinese superstition. I made rice bowls barren, lest I condemn my future spouse to facial pock marks, one for every uneaten grain. Present day we, baby fat is revisionist history. Narrow the eyes, and the meat suit resembles someone's craving. Grow to love sweating, CrossFit, one's own nakedness, and single-digit body fat still doesn't taste better than a well-seasoned iteration of fried potato. Can romancing stretch marks marshal us towards wholeness like the sky itself? Perhaps the question is too big. Where the skin split never returns to smoothness. We turn to silence to remind us what the eyes and heart conspire to silence. That the blanched lines mean healed. That we heal. Bereavement. The frame rescinds a memory, a slice of wedding, of a short-lived marriage, an ancestor, puppyhood, or a vista of peaks like the spine of a stegosaurus. The fate of that photo was to hide behind a yellowing elementary school portrait or filed into a landfill. You want to save the snapshot of our smushed cheeked faces from the dust to prove affection had not been subtracted or some other miscalculation. But it is spilled whiskey from the cast. It is the light's arrival long after the star was extinguished. All losses accepted as total. So I've been exploring a little bit list poems recently, and kind of inspired by Shane Allison, who also is a queer Black poet in Florida. He's kind of a master at those. So this is one I wrote last week while I was in Las Vegas. Not my favorite place, but here we go. Useful taxonomies.
Yeah.
Chaos stirs, quarter flippers, order hoarders, facetious proposers, food pornographers, crawfish hustlers, fanatics of the deviled egg, enemies of bread, Tabasco sauce hardliners, salt in that pepper like Reed Richards, compilers of gingers, the type that grinds their own garam masala, the type that blends her own fade, the type that mends his own holes, home picklers, ticklish butches, savage, ravaged, salvaged, vintage, women who drink it neat, mama's boys, daddy's boys, the anti-boys club, boys who wore husky pants, one-night stands, Trixie and Katya stands, Médecins Sans Frontières, zodiac signs that end in O, those forlorn for New Orleans, those dancing on their own, those cum gutter carvers, them guys with the vocal fry, them bitches, my bitches, perils, labesias, extravaganzas, house mothers, queens, terrestrial angels, presidents of the United Hates, apologists of occupation, account holders from the banks of exile, the ones who stayed, who aren't the same as the ones who wouldn't go, the ones who you thought would never leave, the ones who came to hear their heart beating, the one who never arrived to hear this heartbeat. All right, I guess some poems from my book. So maybe you'll be enticed to read it or buy it or something. Yeah, it's called Anatomy of Want. And this first one is called Bastard. 10 years old, eyes shiny like crude oil, used to wonder who supplied these endless eyes. But clearly was you, rotten vision not inherited, instead conditioned, weekends locked in basement, bedroom, reading, Treasure Island, The Hardy Boys, Nancy Drew, over past stung-rayed eyes, past salt water, past ugly pity, pale rage for letting new bride win, prizing those eyes that should have been watching me, then the youngest, instead a career in solitude started. So by 15, when sent away, emancipated by stepmom's plot of perjury, that Port Authority desertion only embellished, could have but never gauged, eyeglasses, driving lessons, birthday candles. 32, still a bastard, that boy still spills into this face. That why you passed, not recognizing eyes you made. I've traded books for DVD marathons, aisle seats in movie theaters without company, not having to speak, care, unanguished, but now, here, asked you to talk. Yet, I've been littering parts of speech like cigarette butts Because how, why, interrogate about abandoned things past. I remind you my bland name again, but meant to say, Dad, can you bear to see how ruthlessly and unfinished I do pardon you? Vignettes after a breakup. 1. Long before the alarm, mornings require a reckoning. The gut is smooth and empty. The previous day's resilience pours out on the mattress. The sunlight makes explicit such matters leave no stain. 2. Breakfast is a minefield where one must avoid cinnamon, the undetonated flavor haunting bowls of oatmeal and yogurt. 3. There's a membrane on the northbound bus stop that staves off sobbing, only no telling what song might pierce it. 4. As with aluminum cans, collecting distractions is a full-time occupation. Overtime not mandatory, but best to work to exhaustion. 5. A myth that sharks must keep moving lest they suffocate. They have known all along that sometimes motion is the sole thing to keep us from crashing. Just a few more. Furnished. What are you doing here, boy, when there are men out there whose pockets are train rides to Tripoli, antique carpets in the souks of Marrakesh? You are like clockwork, fading hours beneath my hands, keeping me in my poverty's company. So why not have any of those architects of sonnets or prodigies of song willing to exonerate you from death? I, artless with verse, affording little in the visible world, have only this. If you have nothing, no house, no shadow, and I, no house and only a shadow, should I give you my shadow, make it your home. All right, three more of my short poems, apocryphal. Before the salt comes and melts another season, let's just lay down on this serenade of snow. You where only letters reach, and I a place with no post office. If this were a rehearsal for being together, perhaps the impressions of our bodies would appear less like smudges on winter's cheek and closer to a footprint, evidence of a doe, suggesting beyond speculation that we, at least, were. Making dinner. Fingers untucked, mint leaves rolled into a stubby cigar. Your blade pensively sliced a chiffonade sprinkled over last night's tagine, and a smile weeks later. It will take practice, one or both of us said, wondered, the cutting or the craving. And this is the last one. It's called It's No Secret. It's no secret, there is home in kissing you, mon ami. Smokeless burning, we meet in houses of sometimes tender, sometimes white flames, because nothing is meant to last, at best a finish. The sweetness shaped from breath, torn from breath. Thank you. And 5 drinks and tip our bartender.
Keep it going for Daniel W.K. Lee. It's hot, spicy out here. I like it. It's going to be a tight night tonight. We have another wonderful poet coming up next. His name is Tay V. Smith. I am Sean Monroe. I co-curate the Splice Poetry Series. I got calling that spiciness. With a couple other cats around here. So Tay's work vibrates the gaps at the edges of genre. Both regarded and engaged, his poems are visceral insights into what Audre Lorde calls poetry as illumination. Yet Tay's poems expand and layer that idea with tactile oral revelations. His body of work manifests a person of letters, light, voice, sound, and strings. His poems, like great music, vibrate in your nervous system and settle like the rumble of thunder. We're honored to have Tay V. Smith perform tonight. He is the author of the chapbook Permission to Speak from Spokenvisions in 1990. The collection Here We Are, and his first middle grade novel is set for release this October through Hiddentimber Books. Tay's short fiction appears or is forthcoming in several publications such as Tin House, Blavity, Black Girl in Ulm, and the Kenyan Review with an A, not an O. Tay lives, teaches history and creative writing in New Orleans. Please welcome to the stage, Tay V. Smith.
What's good, y'all? Y'all all right? All right, wait. I'm not as short as I thought I was, wait. But still short. All right, let's see. All right. What's up, y'all? All right. So, thank you for having me. Crap, man. I was wondering who you were talking about. I was like, me? Shucks. I don't know, I'm gonna jump right into it. So, I moved to New Orleans and I was teaching 6th grade social studies. When I got there, my students were at 83% unsatisfactory on their test, on their last interim test. So then one of my students, because students tend to look you up, and found my book and was like, Mr. Smith, you should write a book about us. I was like, word? I was like, all right. All right, let's do this. If you get your lunch every day, come back up to the classroom and let's change those scores. If you change those scores, I got you. So they went from an 83 to a 13%. And this was like a month and a half. So then a month after that, I wrote Exit Ticket, a middle grade novel in verse. Told from 2 perspectives, one from the 6th grader Lil J and his teacher, Mr. Warrington. So if that's all right, I'm gonna read 2 parts of that, and then you actually set the tone, because then I'm gonna read something that I wrote when I was 12. So. What's Sam? They call me Lil J. My mama, my aunt, my grandma, my pawpaw, my friends, even teachers call me Lil J. I don't remember a time when I was called anything different. My family has a Lil in every generation, like Lil Arrow for Arlington, who survived the sugar plantations, Lil Henny for Henrietta, who survived the Black Codes, Lil Ant for Antoine, who survived Frontier Justice, my uncle Lil Ronnie, who kind of survived prison, and I'm Lil J, the survivor of middle school. I guess the name just kind of stuck, like J is my reward for surviving all the other alphabets. Now, I don't know you yet, so I ain't gonna get into what my real name is. I ain't pick it, like Superman didn't pick his nickname or costume. That looks like he should be called Consonant Man or Yoga Man. Either way, the name Superman is meant to hide who he really is from people who wouldn't understand, from people who might find out that he is weak because the real him, dude in the glasses and teacher pants, has someone who loves him. But Lil J is bulletproof. I wonder though, if this world is made up too. If I'm just a character in some book meant to warn kids about the dangers of being little. Some days I don't feel like life is real. I don't feel like school is real. I don't feel like I'm real. Like all this made up, like all these rules and punishment, like all this death and pain gotta be fake, like it's all gotta be a part of a dream or a nightmare, and maybe you ain't having the same dream. Maybe you ain't living the same dream. Maybe you can get some rest or some truth out of all of this. I wanna tell you the truth about my life, and mainly about my school and about my teachers. I want to let you know how they only care about kicking kids out of classrooms, like it make their day or something, to get paid for having empty seats. It's like teachers take one look at us and they hear how loud we talk, how loud we laugh. They see how hard we play. They think they know how hard we live, and they think every interaction will lead to something they can't control because their whole job is to find ways to control kids because they're scared of anything they can't control because they forgot how it feels to not be so done up. Now what they don't know, what they don't see is all that noise is wrapped around lives that make you hold your breath. That for most of us, school is a moment to breathe. Every feeling, every laugh, all the anger, all the sadness, every breath we've been swallowing comes roaring out of us like an open fire hydrant. Sometimes you gotta scream to remember that you are alive, that you survived everything. Your throat was too dry to speak. Kicking kids out of class is easy. It's like having an icing off a cake with no cake in the middle. It's how you can convince yourself that your job is sweet and ain't nothing missing. Now I know you won't believe me though. Nobody ever believes kids like me. You're probably the same noise they make to our parents at student orientation, at report card conferences. They stretch their smiles, that stretch their eyes in a way that lets you know that they don't see you, lets you know they see right around you. They go on and on about how much they believe in us, how much they care about us. It is all a lie. Teachers care about impressing the people who sign their checks. What a good-looking hall line, Miss So-and-so. Great way to have a quiet class, Mr. What the Hell Ever. Man, I bet they give out awards to the teachers who can turn us into robots the quickest. But the teachers, yo, they the true transformers. Sometimes, most times, they yell, they threaten. Then when a parent or a principal or anyone worth respecting comes around, they prime up. They stand tall, they change into caring, optimistic adults who say shit like, I know he is bright and capable of doing the work, and I am here to help. And you sit there, glued to the cold metal desk and shocked, the only human in the room, because even mama switch up sometimes. And you almost believe them. But as soon as the door shuts, they switch gears, they hide their antennas, they go into turbo, laser eye, referral form, lunch detention, negative point, call home, teacher mega mode. It's like all that red ink. All them demerits, all them checklists make them forget what it's like to be a person. What they don't tell you is that school is just like prison. Now, I ain't never spent no time in one for real, but from what I see on TV, the uniforms, check. Child time, check. Yard time, check. Straight line, check. Being a teacher is just another name for a CO, a person made to make sure that you know you ain't free. But don't say that we don't take our future seriously enough, and maybe we don't take any of it serious because don't nobody take us serious. That's why I'm telling you this. I'm trusting that you'll believe me. I'm trusting that you'll know what to do with this once you finish reading my story, which is like all our stories that ain't never been told and believed. I was born in New Orleans. My parents are from New Orleans, and they parents are from New Orleans. We ain't got a lot of money, but baby, we proud of being from here. I live in the lower 9th Ward. My mama grew up out the Calio projects. My pawpaw was out the Desire projects. Most of them torn down now. They replaced them with some fancy apartments with fresh paint and fresh plants. And yo, you ever notice ain't no trees in the hood? My Tita Quintina, who really just mama friend, say that it's because the government trying to choke all the life out of us, trying to melt us down into something better, trying to keep us from building anything of our own. She come over one day all out of breath, talking with her hands, talking about they gentrifying out here. I just saw a white woman walking the dog on Magnolia. Shit was so weird, damn lady made me clutch my purse. Now, my pawpaw waited for her to calm down, sat up in his favorite chair and explained to her, to all of us, that it's just the New Orleans way. That every year something black closes, he says. Every year that something white opens in the same place that used to keep black folk open. They playing chess, he said, only we ain't much on the board. Now, I don't know if you're at home, or if you're in a library or on a bus, if you're ducked off in a quiet corner reading this. I don't know if gunshots, if screaming, if police, if storms hit your ear, like a drumming in your head, dancing in your head. I don't know if you're like me, if you hear noisy memories that yell into your world in the middle of the night, that yell into your focus in the middle of the day, in the middle of class, in the middle of trying to live quietly. My city is loud. So loud that people from quiet places, people who know how to forgive themselves real good, fly here. They eat, they get drunk enough to praise themselves, like the French Quarter cleanses sins, like Second Line Sundays hold the soundtrack to heaven. They do things they don't talk about when they get back to their quiet places, because even there, silence is made to pretend. They hush about things. They smile to themselves over supper and never mention New Orleans or her people again. Even so, I don't know no other place, and I don't want to. If you're from here, the city, and all this life is born in your bones, mama say, the storm blew your daddy to Houston and he never felt the wind to blow back. Maybe that's why it's hard to breathe some nights. Daddy left before I could notice. It's like he took most of the wind with him, like the air is starving us, like I gotta breathe for both of us now, like deep breaths under the cover protects me and mama from any storm that may try to come down I-10. I used to daydream that one day Daddy would surprise me. That one day he would show up when I was changing classes. I'd hug him, he'd hug me. Everybody else would go into their classrooms and the hallway would be all ours. We would talk about everything. He would tell me how big I've gotten. He would tell me that he's proud of me. He would tell me where he's been. I would be so happy that I would learn right in the middle of that hall a new way to breathe. I would keep this new way safe all day, then take it home and teach it to mama, my mama, LaTanya Jones. Went to the same school I attend now. It was called something different when she was a student. It'll be called something else after whoever takes it over next year. I've been there before, Jay, mama says. Every time she needs me to understand that she understands why I did something that ain't had no business doing, understand? Like the time I punched Big Head Keith from down the street in his big head, yeah? For making big fun of her for having to sell part of our EBT benefits to pay rent. Like the time I got so angry at the lady with the bad breath who kept pulling me out of class in 5th grade, talking to me about my IEP in a way that let me know she thought me and whatever she was writing on the paper was the same person, was the whole thing of me. I've been there before, Jay, she said, after I was suspended for flipping over the school desk over and scaring Miss Stank Breath. I've been in this building my whole life. I've seen principals leave and teachers quit on us in the middle of the year. I'm in the 6th grade and we just found out that the school is closing after this year. So why? Why would we keep trying when the whole building is giving up? I stand in the front of the old chalkboard, face flushed with anticipation. This is the best start we've had to a lesson all week. 90% participation. I asked the last question. How did Timbuktu become a center for trade and learning? There are 7 hands raised. The same 7 hands from yesterday and the day before. I looked past them and called on Lil J. No response. From the 5'2" dark brown boy who wears his frown as curved as the long part running down the left side of his faded hair, Lil J, who walked in quiet and steaming, who walks in on the days he shows up, brewing and ready for a fight. Lil J, who sits in the last seat of the last row near the peace corner. I'll call on him again. Lil J, how did Timbuktu become a center for trade and learning? With his head down, he twitches at the sound of his name. I know that he knows that I know that he can hear me. He turns to me, then turns back around without saying a word. His right elbow covers the bottom half of his paper, just enough to leave the top, where he has failed to even write his name on display. He ain't even did nothing to his paper. His name ain't even on the shout scenario. The class waits. With the same patience they've been taught through years of school-wide culture, I wait. With the same patience that has helped me teach 2 6th grade classes Monday through Friday, I wait. I am always waiting. On students, on parents, on administrators, on doctors. I am tired. I am tired of waiting. I am tired of wasting minutes. I am tired of considering everyone. I shout one more time, Lil J. He turns around and stares at me. I am familiar with this particular type of showdown. Like the ones from the Wild West films my father would force me to watch years ago at the foot of my parents' bed every Saturday morning growing up. Same type of Westerns my father, Nelson Warrington, now begs for me to download and bring with me to the hospital on the iPad I bought him last Christmas. During this, his worst round of chemo. His favorite spaghetti Western in the whole wide world is A Fistful of Dollars. In it, a stranger arrives in a little town of San Miguel. The town innkeeper tells the stranger about a feud between two families trying to gain control of the town. The stranger decides to play each family against the other in order to make money. He proves his skill with his gun to both sides by winning a stare down with 4 men who insulted him as he entered town. Well, here I am, in the middle of my very own dust-rolling confrontation. We continue our stare. I hear murmuring in the background that I can't be concerned about. It would break my focus and he would win. Lil J, again. Lil J, and again. Lil J, Wallace moves to another row. I can see Lil J's fist ball around the bottom of the wooden desk. Full of frustration, I yell, Jonathan Jones. The name erupts out of me and spills over the whole room. The class falls silent, mouths wide, hands over ears as if they heard evil, eyes covered as if they saw it. Everyone knows that no one, I mean absolutely no one, calls him by his real name. As the rest of the class waits to see what will come of this boiling confrontation, Denaya jumps up on her chair. Oh shit, son, what the? Before she can get to the worst of it, Lil J's fist slams on the top of his desk. His chair is sent flying behind him and the classroom explodes. The last time I heard anyone call me Jonathan was just before Grandpa La B got too sick to fuss at me about playing video games. Thing is, I started mourning about a week before he died, like I knew it. I remember his face turning a pale brown like the sickness was washing him away, like the cancer was washing all the color out. He stopped laughing, he stopped fretting. I wish he'd yell at me one more time. I wish he'd scream at me. With that shaking smile in his voice, oh Jonathan, yeah, life, real life is on the other side of that phone. Keep yourself glued to it, you're gonna fool around, miss it. I promise I would look up. I promise I would listen this time before I was out of time. I would give anything to hear his voice one more time. I would delete every game at Snapchat, at Instagram. I would give anything to anyone, anywhere to hear him, to come back, for him to call all of me and not some short version of myself, the kind that make you smaller than what you really are. Now, I don't know how you learn. I don't know what kind of tricks you use to keep you from falling asleep, to keep you from clicking out, to keep you from giving up on school. I hate social studies, especially now. I don't want to hear about no ancestors and great men and women who died long, long ago, not when a great man died less than a month ago, and ain't nobody saying nothing. Ain't no book, ain't no classroom, so I don't know about passing tests. I don't know about passing grades, but I ain't trying to fail at remembering. I'll tell you the truth. I sit in the back because I'm afraid that if I put too many things in my head, the facts, the dates, the names might just push out the thoughts of Grandpa La B, Grandpa La B, Grandpa La B. That's what's on the piece of paper in front of me. That's what's on the piece of folded paper in my pocket. I've been writing it over and over every time a teacher makes me write something, anything that ain't him. Grandpa La B, Grandpa La B, Grandpa La B. That's how you win a shootout. Like the ones Pawpaw used to watch, the quickest man to his gun wins. I gotta be quicker to my pen than the teachers. Grandpa La B, Grandpa La B, Grandpa La B. You write it over and over again. It's how you keep this memory alive. It's how you keep from yourself from dying inside. Maybe it'll reverse everything. Maybe he'll undie it so I can start living again. Maybe you'll call up to the school and ask for Jonathan Jones, and I'll be happy to hear it. Jonathan Jones over the loudspeaker. Jonathan Jones from the man with the leaning hat. Jonathan Jones is reserved for La B. Jones, not for Kevin Warrington. How am I doing on time? Oh, okay, go ahead, sorry. So, it's funny, right? So I wrote this story about these students, and then just wrote a YA novel about the students that I was teaching this year. And I was working at a school, I won't say the name, I was working at a school, and there was a lot of like microaggressions going on with the black staff, particularly black women. So there was a kid and an adult who was like really harassing like this young black teacher, and she had like walked out of the building like 4 or 5 times in tears, and she had followed all those steps, all the procedures. She followed everything, and they did nothing to protect her. So then yesterday, the kid, calls her a bitch and threatens to beat her up and everything. And she leaves, and she's crying, and she tells them about it. Nothing happens. He returns back today. And he approaches her and like bumps her, pushes her against the wall, and has her cornered in a room. So I hear the scuffle next door. So I walk over, push him off of her, and she storms out of the building in tears, quits. So I'm make sure the class is okay, and I'm talking to the black and brown boys in the classroom about being in a space where black women are unprotected. And I go to leave to teach my next class, and I get fired today for inciting violence. So, but I got a book out the school, so I appreciate them. But no, yeah, this happened like, so I'm saying that, so I think some people have like maybe heard me read before, and I'm like trying to push this stuff out, but like I'm kind of bummed about this. So yeah, so it just sucks. It just sucks. Yeah, it sucks. But on a lighter note,
hiring at Dillard. Go someplace else. You're a teacher. Go someplace
yeah. So thank you, I appreciate that. So I'm 12 years old, same age as Lil J in the book, and there's this woman, and she's 25, and I'm certain I got a shot, right? And I'm coming with everything I got, right? I'm like, I got candy, like, what you want? Like, so I write her, and it was my first ever love poem. And to this day, it's still my favorite poem. So I write her this poem. I'm like, this is gonna get it. And like, cause she was moving out of town. And I was like, she's gonna read this, and she's gonna come back. You're what I've been waiting for. Like, she's gonna like, it's gonna be this whole moment. It did not happen. It did not happen. Actually, I've not heard from her or how she received the poem. But the poem was super, super original, and the title, brilliant. Let me count the ways. All right, so the first 10 minutes, my soul gets hysterical and wishes you back. The thought of you not being here sends my heart like 20 attacks. And if I let 30 minutes go by, I think of calling just to see where you're at. Crazy, yeah, for you and all of that. And if we up and disagree, crap, I done forgot it already. Yeah, that's that, sorry.
Keep the applause going. Keep it moving, keep it moving. Thank you. All right, we're going to take a hard 15-minute intermission. The music's going to come back on. When you hear it turn off, come on back. We got 2 more kick-ass poets coming up next. Get a drink, tip your bartender, use the trough, do what you got to do. We'll see you in 15 minutes.
So before we get started, I just want to hype the rest of the weekend, the Poetry Fest weekend. Tomorrow night at Zeitgeist, we have a really wild show coming up with Rocio Cerrón right here from Mexico City, and Enrique Winter is coming in from Santiago, Chile, and then we've got more Chilean poets that will be zooming in from Chile itself on the big screen at Zeitgeist. And so please come out for that. It's going to be pretty crazy. You will be blown away by Rocio's work. It is quite stunning. And then, don't forget, Saturday and Sunday, the Small Press Fair, book fair all day, both days at Greenway Station, the old brake tag station over at the end of Bayou St. John, over by Parkway Tavern. And there'll be readings in there, in that big space, all day long, and the book fair, and all kinds of crazy shit. Plus, it looks like we're going to have a second line at the end of the day, too. I've been trying to organize this, and it keeps falling apart and coming back. But I think it's going to happen. And then Saturday night, please come for our main feature with Ricky Laurentis and Joyelle McSweeney, reading in the same venue, 7 o'clock Saturday night. So 7 o'clock every night from now on until you can't remember. That's this is your life, okay? And now I'm going to introduce one of the guys who put together this night for us, one of the instigators of the Splice series, and he's going to introduce the next reader, Rodrigo Toscano.
All right. Henry Goldkamp is a variant of concern. The properties of this poetic practitioner are in constant mutation. The hosts here tonight, I'm afraid to say, are not properly inoculated. The range of aesthetic symptoms to be experienced are wholly unpredictable. The current iteration of Henry's poetics will not protect us from any future encounter. The recovery outcomes, however, are quite remarkable. The ears remain perky for hours. The nervous system jerks itself into planes of alertness. Henry's ability to bend to the breaking point and outright refashion literary genres is electrifying. Now, describing someone as being unnatural at anything should rightly be viewed with suspicion, but in Henry's case, I can find no other way to describe his native abilities. For it seems he can't do otherwise. But at the end of the day, his output is the result of endless hours of experimentation. Many of us here in New Orleans are astounded how much elbow grease is expended on his art. For when most of us are asleep, Henry is just getting started. Working in his converted garage, which he calls the Bucky Lab. You can follow his train of thought by the chalkboard he regularly updates with newfound poetic principles or radical reformulations of previous experiments. Whether testing voicings, densities of content, modularity of forms, textures of social location, sequencing, sub-memes, parsing of accents and tones, minimalizing maximalism, or maximalizing minimalism, his aim is always to volatilize poetic expression. Using the very language at hand, the words and rhythms of the poems themselves, Henry hopes to reveal in as bright a light as possible the complex social vectors underlying even our most mundane activities and assumptions. Also, he's game for a quickie seance, channeling John Berryman for you, one-on-one. Henry Goldkamp's recent work appears in Indiana Review, Minnesota Review, Idaho Review, Yemassee, New South, Denver Quarterly, and Best New Poets 2021. His public art projects have been covered by NPR and Time, and he reads poems for Tilted House, The Adroit Journal, and Bayou. He is the recipient of an Academy of American Poets Prize and is a regular contributor to Diagram poetry reviews. You can catch him at henrygoldkamp.com.
One's called Gas Guzzler Goes Skirt. I've been drinking on National Yelling Day, raising hell and justice for all, like toadies and hot spot for oil, whatever the hell. Sentimental backwash, this city, built on jetty, sediment, and spray. Shrimp wrists wilt limp with decadence. I pray for the hell of it. I soil my southern diaper, wait for God to change me. To baptize my red tide, these my fish lungs on drugs, this my earth on hell. Black flies kiss silverfish, goldfish grow feet, teach their own ecosystem, get head from snapping turtles, go down on mollusk meat, give them hell. Pallets serpentine flicker this gland's a planet. Eat that dick. Eat that Bible. Eat it acid rain and sheets. Heard the Gulf purr its hellcats, beat its hounds of hell. All wells break loose, a match to the bubbles of my mind. The two holes I see out on fire. Some problems fix themselves, like hell. They do. Sip rock gut, piss red eye, so shuts the sunroof on my shoebox. Blacks out my star-smeared nadir. Lot lizards barter their globular warmth. Misery loves industry to hell and back. Come hell or Deepwater Horizons. Two choices, orchestration or castration. The vanishing point near, blood drawn, no chance in hell. I hit the pump. I have a heart of Goldkamp. An angel gets her hairless tail. Pay cash, it wags. Pay credit, please come inside. How do you do? Hello. I'll take this time for a big thank you to New Orleans Poetry Fest, to Splice, to Rubber Flower, to all the people that did introductions, to all the people that are doing work behind the scenes as volunteers. I thank you. I thank my fellow readers, Tay, and Karisma, and Daniel. It's such an honor and, above all, a pleasure to be here. So thanks, and we're just going to keep going. Spiritual. This, the river dump. We smell wet, sleep with sleeping dogs. Gave mom a status, straight away. Got fleas in a week, so on and so forth. Here Val's got a bum knee each, them prophets of bad weather. Me? Come from sexy Texas. You? Your heart filled of lighter fluid? Sheet, metal, cane, syrup. I speak complete sentences. Fuck you. Ain't about to fake it. Licking the floor of you tastes like licking the floor of fives and dimes on fire. Said, you on the other side of the moat now, snitch? And never forgiving God down here. Born again so many times got me believing I'm invincible. Cashed in my sword and shield once copper broke $1. Collect the cut off fingers of uncles. We'd have a full set to bet with. Call me corn cockler, cause I went crayon to career. Come at me, you hand holder of dirt. Watch my mouth, the wires just got out. Weren't sure if you know or not my weak spot. Savage in Texas, and you spelt the same. horse sense. Let the rat tails and ponytails hightail out here. Plains sight. Words never can talk louder than words. Common fucking science. Riparian with rip. Sure, she answers and abhors and absorbs and blames and blesses and breathes and bleeds and blends and bends and beds and burns and churns and churs and churs and curses and curdles and circles and chants and crosses and carouses and devils and dams and decants and dishes and drinks and drains and drowns and drones and dribbles and drivels and drives and drips and dredges and drenches and dunks and dogs and eyes and eeks and eddies and ebbs and fibs and feathers and fathers and froths and foams and floats and flies and fails and falls and furls and fusses and festers and founders and forgives and freezes and feeds and gluts and guts and gulps and gushes and gossips and gabs and glams and grins and grimes and grieves and heaves and hobnobs and hoodoos and ills and inks and inches and juices and jellies and jets and jaws and keelhauls and kills and kisses and licks and laps and lobs and lollies and moonlights and moats and moans and maims and man-eats and mambos and mackles and meows and milks and muses and musses and muscles and nuts and needles and necks and noises and noses and offs and ogles and oils and outs and pouts and pounds and plots and planks and praise and quails and quibbles and quenches and riles and rinses and rushes and ruts and rackets and rills and roils and roars and soaps and soaks and seeks and sinks and slinks and swills and swirls and swishes and swigs and slurps and slurs and sluices and smears and stonewashes and stains and smuts and sleeps and treats and tricks and trickles and twinkles and thrums and throbs and threads and treads and ulcers and utters and unites and unties and upbraids and uglies and upchucks and vultures and varnishes and wicks and worms and works and whirs and whirls and worries and warps and exports and excels and expels and excites and it X's and it X's and it X's and it yaks and it yanks and it yammers and it yips and it yens and it zens. Yet to me, she just sings her great plaint. Sings her long green streak of beef. Oh wine, oh full bar. No matter how hard she rids, herself her heart refills. Poem yelling from her 93 Dodge Neon at carnival goers. To all you born-agains, you big fucking babies. My jelly beans come jarred and off pink. Knowing who will die is easy to predict. All my claims, small, mounted oniony slush. What's it like to kiss a man, one with only one tongue? The city is contagious. I sign my crosses faster than a doctor's ampersand. The mosquitoes share their needles and sad songs. Maybe there's another river, one without such queer sachets, but I don't know. I don't dance much. Though I can step on it good, throw a chicken's leg out the moving window, the fry oil bag and the old cup of Coke. Not really a dance, I know. But it does offer dogs a mouth to water, a splinter to choke on. Her ulcer, hear it? How our hour mouths its ashtray early Friday, the bargain hunter hunting for neck and wishbones. Yeah, happy. The canine impression, we leave by usual, slurps by traffic light. All you can eat, models needed, injured all night, walk-ins welcome. All right, this is the long version. You got the zippers that say YKK. Well, this is what it stands for. Yoshida Kogyo Kabushi Kikasha Zuihetsu. What, Mississippi? Eating parking lot fish with what's-her-face, the janitor. Ablutions goo out the window unit of church. She chews standing. Lets drip her pickle spit. I swallow the bones out loud. To Mississippi! She tells me her favorite apple is gala. That till her 30s, she didn't even know that meant party. I tell her if there's one thing man is good at, it's devouring the party between his sweet teeth. 3 Mississippi! She plays me an iffy record of a man who committed suicide by cyanide. He swallowed hundreds of apple seeds, each containing small amounts of the toxic salt. 4 Mississippi! You unlearn something new every day. Her seed time was a kind of white pride, clomping South County mom and shrimp boots. We're on our way. 5 Mississippi! Bush rattle in the bed of her man's Cheyenne gauges how fast we go. The speedometer shot. The streets on fire. 6 Mississippi! I like the gold parts of her teeth. The funny smell of her hands after brassoing the holy water font. I like her punchline in the one where the Cadillac can't swim. 7 Mississippi! Picnic of brown apples, listens to the sliding brown water. Her gaze slung in a hammock of stars. Sugar ants en route, singing the invisible. 8 Mississippi! Can you get my back? A wink. Gulls flood us, egging us on, hundreds yelling. She ashes in a bottle cap. I got it back. There is no sun in sight. 9 Mississippi! If a man savors the flesh of paradise that many times and still wants to go through with it, he deserves to die. 10 Mississippi! She takes my lips like a lollipop of grease. A barge ruts against monster truck tires alone. We gonna fuck the mongrels right back onto that ark. 11 Mississippi! Under telephone wire strung across the twilight, a giant cat cradle. I nurse her cocktail of denim lemonade. We speak in sandpaper tongues. 12 Mississippi! She has to be spanked a little. Honey, can we park it out back and have a party in your pink Cadillac? Crushed velvet seats. Softly belting. 13 Mississippi! YKK is tattooed on the tip of her thumb so many times as she unzipped to fire or ooh, I'm on fire or streets of fire! Streets of fire! Puts herself out in the river. 14 Mississippi! Deeper in the loom of giant night, babies play Marco Polo in the black squish. Her pock marks a constellation of crusty stars, concealed. 15 Mississippi! The mud sucks our toes. Pollen floats as hot snow. The moon, he blinks a pink eye. Ready or not, here we come! Villanelli in which your boyfriend is a boozy bitch. The nightlife don't allow for sleep. He offer a rock glass again, a gin to toast.
Been eyeing you. You like 'em dirty or neat?
The nighttime swill sky, that black digestif. The meantime, nipping and sipping us both. The pink blue open, lull flies to sleep. Oh, he rivet my gimlet. Cubes melt to thief. Thaw, crack clear that barrel-age rule of mine. A eye, for 3 fingers neat. His juniper toad throwed me from beneath. We weighed out our tab. Time's dirty cheap. I lap, and eat. Unthroat his salt sleep. Full, my shadow could gutted his ghost, but I gig my own heart. I knot my own pine. The life a dead ringer. My kilter be neat. So cask of scum burped through green teeth. Lines white his bloat with bitter pith of lime. The life knife don't allow for sleep, no. Its boning blade clean leg meat too neat. The scales of good and evil glisten. Give me a little something here. There we go. Fish. If hell wet, welcome Matt. Hell's bells. Hill Billy. Billboard. Free stuff must haul. Small town, big rig, Jake. Break, steep step, truck. Stop, pay, shower. Get lost, go getter. Better yet, shampoo. Splish, splash, wish, wash, milk. Sop, silk, wheat, clean cut. Dirt ball, cattle call, I can't. Low brow, sweet tooth, salt lick, hell broth, hocus poke, glory hole, hallelujah, low blow, mouth organ, stage fright, fry oil, icky dish. Doggone fish food, hash brown color blind newsprint it kid mess kit P's and Q's quaaludes shit bricks strip mall blue balls alpha male mega sale dead broke no bones goose egg bad day big night, honky tonk, hunky dory, horn, dog, stud, muffin claw, hammer, cow, college, jerk, meat, dead, bolt, live nudes, ball, out, ping pong, dang girl, boys, future tense, acid rinse, stone wash, gold denim, boot cut, high you, fuck you, bitch, ass, shit, talk, all bark, no bite, worm, hook, worm, antibiotic, prolix, take, nice, good, dog, good, God, fine print, hell, box, grease, trap, happen, chance, mercy, kill, mercy, seat, take, one, new me, who knew? Good book, worm, dog, ear, pussy, foot, loud mouth, soap, box, bait, shack, half, breed, bunny, bread, blood, shed, caught shiner, right hook, hen peck, fish, wife, drag, net, run, home, spun, cola cancer, no work, blow job, happy B-day, death wish, dead dad, bang, boom. Big shot, mom mad, son, pump, spoon, bread, Xmas ham, hot plate, lukewarm, moonshine, sunrise, rose hips, hourglass, sad, sand, bad hand, all in hell, no, go fish. Thank you guys, thanks, thank you. The Our Daddy. Anybody up top want to be God?
Yeah.
Perfect, stand up and just give me a focal point. This is always better to just, oh wow, you kind of look exactly how I imagined you to look. This is wonderful, thank you. This poem is called The Our Daddy. Dead Dad. Hey, you're great. Okay, bring it on. I'll do whatever you say. Straddle the county line. These grasses seem equally green. Turn in your neighborhood rules to mine, see what happens. Mi casa es su casa. Sounds appropriate, sounds appropriate them many selves. Give me some bread and forgive me for all those times I posted, no trespassing, and don't even know what state I am in. Careless and drunk until empty, bottled at field parties. I forgive people all the time. I like the way they taste. And see. Don't you ever fucking bring me the bad guys. Got me? Fuck off my property. I believe I'd be left. I'd be reft. A man. Oh man. Omen. All right, the next three, I'm just going to read what the note says. So the next three are just different note. The following poems are collaged erasures from Richard Masterson. Our 2-year correspondence ended once Richard was killed by the state of Texas on January 20th, 2016. Ample evidence suggests he is innocent. These are for Richard and friendship. I paint landscapes mostly. Sunset things change color like snow. Purple and pink or whatever. A black bear, like a turkey through a cornfield, come out the woods all the time, yelling from all the animals. I am a person. I do not look beyond into the past. A house with a dirt floor, a big school bus filled with billions of stars. I paint landscapes mostly, but have done a few other things, and we lived in that as well. This is the second one from that sequence. Dude, I do not fear death. Everyone else pretty much abandoned me. No, I don't think I am happy because I just think handcuffed. Drunks and bottle thumpers, everywhere we go. We have been both. His face is something in my mind all these years. It is like the Bible beat the living shit out of me. I love the rain, but not when I'm trying to walk around and see the sights. All right, this is the last one for now. If I live today, mostly quiet, if a person can sing, if you get away from the city, if you've robbed any churches, if you've thought about this, if it is fiction or non-fiction, if I get a date that opens all the doors, if you were doing peppers and onions, if they say no, if you put a pretty label on a bottle, if this is all there is for me, then tomorrow will start. All right, well, you heard it a little bit for a second from the boyfriend earlier. It's like the dog voice, so this is the dog voice because it's from a dog. It's called Nocturne, ending in Mercy Kill.
My belly is a carton of agate and lead. Thing swings me fat with math at the dirt. Woof. I am gravity's tramp. My lungs people this cut bank. My waterlogged paunch beast teased. Woof. I tend toward honest faces in light of handsome ones. Prefer to beg for scraps over brute force. Woof. My milk eyes fizz tiny open moons. My paws stain panicum. Woof. All have seen my sentence. This river, this fat, this scrap of death lets me rip. This river repeats ad susurrus. My poem dreams all the others. What?
All right, I got two more, and if I hurry up, I'll actually be on time. So, this goes to my friends Nick and Andy, who helped me do an illustrated poem of this. So thanks, Nick and Andy. It was a lot of fun working on this. It's a concrete poem, and it's the state of Missouri, and it actually just came out like that. Like, I wrote the poem, and it was exactly this, like with a couple spaces. I'm like, oh, cool. No, it's called Quikrete Purgatory Mo. Nothing in Missouri is real. America's make-believe island. It's shape a tab of bad acid. We a boogie, a poorly young hokey of bones. Not a droid about it. Whoa, a klutz and slobber. Water weren't quite opposite. We breathe. Redneck be a rash mentality, a language of its own. I ain't all courant. Close but no cig. A ret, unfiltered. Show me your show me stay. Undressing grass stains and Jay-Z tains. A killer of our royalty. No cash cows, no gold rush, sadly. No crying over spilled rivers, missy. No murmur neither. Thou art, though, the peach pit of the country, surrounded by 8 nectary stars. If we can't talk our way out, eat it, out it. Pull hair here into pony tail, and thus become the pony. They're a farm boy in my milk. I must finish denim agog. Death be the only wild thing we have commonly. It's lickety-split. Heck to the fucking yes. so I didn't do anything that bad. It's a good setup for our next reader. It's like, you know, tonight we're gonna have fun, all right? So, St. Louis urges his flock not to ruffle. I trust my city as far as I can throw it. It's a brick, baby. I can lob this sucker. I can give it wings. My lovers snort lines of each other, off each other until dawn. In goes centuries, sunk bricks, the riverfront, a last grassy Bohemia. That big river curls her wiry tail against my city, a straining heat like dogs huff under the door of God. Bricked shut, hundreds of steeples sniff. My clouds shut, my sky a ghost of denim, a toast to giant night, 3 cheers to my brick, white and blue, my dearest American rainbow. Let me buy this round, drink froth from the C-store, drink blood out my cornerstone, swim in that sip, in memory of 93, way back when we were all a little nervous what mouth, what move she might bust next, when people sandbagged her, a clergy of birds, wanting to stop my heart, its snakes and frogs from swelling. Oh, how can I keep from singing the black and blonde-headed, the red river, my history bellies in her bricks. Tonight she plunks a couple feet, legs, thighs. Hear my city chickens fight hear my city chickens fight the swelter, how wet their beaks, my city of flood, ducks in its haunts, pecks the polypropylene weave, we flap and splash, together we can flap and splash and goose the moon good. Thank you so much.
Give it up for Henry Goldkamp. Name is Benjamin Morris, one of the coordinators who do this here gig. Y'all ready to bring it home? Yes! Sorry, are y'all ready to bring this home? I got one question for y'all. What is the blues? Some folks will tell you, like Cornelius Eady, he writes, the blues is a woman, some type of supernatural creature. Ladies and gentlemen, poets and poetry lovers, you know as well as I do that the blues is not a feeling, a temporary state of mind. The blues is not even a genre, not at its heart. No. For those who know it, the blues is a wind that blows through us, a force like an American duende that holds us and shapes us and leaves us to bear witness to its passing, to sing not our own but its darkening song. Who among us is brave enough to do that work? Who in this cosseted, distracted age is willing to step forth directly into the arms of sorrow and ask them for an embrace? Though the words may have been set down by men, let us remember that the earliest interpreters of the blues were women. Ma Rainey, Bessie Smith, later Audre Lorde, Lucille Clifton, and now Karisma Price. In I'm Always So Serious, her debut collection coming out next year from Saraband Books, Price seeks to disarm us with the irony of her title. And at first, disarmed we are. We are drawn in by the downbeat of her humor, her lightness of touch. Yet what unfolds in these pages is less a poetry collection than a complete songbook in which Price offers a suite of lyrics played in the major and the minor, employing both the fully choral and the one lone voice. What do we praise in the tone of our vocalists? What is that element that separates the competent from the great? With effortless ease, Price can switch from the most tender of melodies. In one poem about her mother's love, she writes that, quote, "There should be a safe word for this kind of kindness." To the most piercing of keens, a versatility that astounds the reader. Poem by poem, line by line, she scatters syllables across the page like fireworks, then drops a single stanza all the way down like an anvil falling onto your brain. And is the blues, Cornelius Eady writes, the moment you realize you exist in a stacked deck. You look in a mirror at your young face and you know it's the only leverage you've got. When they are not whispering a lullaby, Price's poems offer an elemental howl, a mourner's cry for the dispossessed that refuses to be silenced. It was said of Elvis that he had the wisdom to make wise men look foolish. Reading Karisma Price, who is unafraid of mourning the dead or the living, glimpses of that wisdom arise over and over. A myth, Price writes, is just someone bathing a boy in water not yet made for weeping. But underneath this lyricism, this versatility, this wisdom, is, at heart, a hometown girl who was born and raised in the most musical city in the world. A girl who came up in the Magnolia Projects, who knows that the most delicious flavor of snowballs is red. Who knows that the faces of dead cousins appear sooner on a t-shirt than in the newspaper and with more truth. And that buck jumpers, plantation ghosts, and the one-eyed piano prince in New Orleans shine forth with more glory than this fading world could ever hope to bear. This is the way that the blues works its sorry wonders, Eady concludes. But listen to that echo found in Price. Singing, she writes, is the closest some men come to crying. Teach us, sister, to sing. Karisma Price.
That was so dramatic, I love it. I need that on the back of my book. Hi, everybody. Hey. Thank you all for coming. Thank you all for staying for the last year. I know we've been, you can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Yay! Okay, so thank you all for staying, for coming. Thank you for having me. Thank you to everyone else that has read. Now I have to live up to the intro, but thank you. I don't have any voices, Henry. I wish I had your voices. So I'm going to be reading some poems. This is almost the book. My book comes out next year by Sarah Bimbo. It's funny, they come out on Valentine's Day, but they're so sad.
Yeah, love, you know.
They're anti-love. No, just we love love. All right, so I'm gonna read some poems. Most of these poems appear in my book. This was my thesis, so yay, thesis. So I'm gonna read some poems from this and maybe some from my phone. So yeah. So like the title of the book is called I'm Always So Serious. It's the title because I have about 5 or 6 poems in here that have that same title. So this is one of them. I'm gonna start off with one of them. If most people are from here, these are about the houses on St. Charles. They're like the big pretty mansions, but they sort of creep me out. So here you go. I'm always so serious. Which is to say, in the winters, I dream of owning a multi-floor mansion in New Orleans. Specifically one on St. Charles Avenue with a wraparound porch and white pillars that would only see the likes of me if I were the maid, the midwife, the family mechanic, Archie Manning, the maintenance worker, or the mailman trusted enough to know the gate's 9-digit passcode and leave the mail resting on the family's rain-weathered mahogany rocking chair. In this particular dream, I'm the mailman. The marigold's red tongues lick the legs of the chair as I leave the mail on one of its non-refurbished lead-painted arms. Their green necks rapidly invade the eggshell-painted porch like any poor soldier in need of his salt. I rip one from the ground for the sake of killing. Look in its yellow center. a vibrant blister before I rub it between my knuckles and render it a freshly ground thing. Looking back, this poem was only supposed to be about my sinuses. How even in my dreams, I sneeze at the sight of untended weeds, flowers whose mouths unfold under the brazen light of the sun. The nightmare is supposed to be my allergies, how they only allow me to love with blooms from a distance. But in every dream, those vibrant marigolds keep growing. Their vines are needle-thin tumors that keep stretching crazily onto the porch, keep making the rocking chair nervous at its own home. When I see that rocking chair, I see blood. It rocks like a heartbeat or whatever, from whatever, When I see that rocking chair, I see blood. It rocks like a heartbeat running from whatever is inside that mansion or behind it with a whip. Yeah. The park used to be a sugar plantation, so do with that what you will. All right, so this next one, so I'm gonna read this one. It's called Things That Fold. It's a list poem. It's after a poem by the poet. His name is Jamal May. He has a poem called Things That Break. So, Things That Fold. Things that fold. My father's voice after the cancer has spread. A flip phone, a flag. George Bush's hands as he pauses his vacation briefly for thoughts and prayers. My body next to the potted plant after my father throws the wooden chair, a cheaply made chair, a small stack of clothes, a birthday card. Milbertha Hendricks under the American flag 5 days after Hurricane Katrina. Her face from the crease made in her obituary photo as we use the newspaper to eat crawfish. The wrinkles in her forehead. Floodwater passing through a broken levee. My uncle's hands retaping the attic windows after the floodwater rises. My cousins sleeping in the attic because no neighbor has a rescue boat. Black people in distress. They lay prostrate and call it prayer. The blankets on my cousin's shoulders days later when rescued. The National Guard smile as he carries the neighbor's dog from the flooded living room. The dog's body around his neck, an upside down flag. I realized after writing this that a lot of my, well, not a lot of them, but some of them, my poems have to do with like weather, climate change, and hurricanes, and I did not realize that, but duh, we're from New Orleans. So here's a, So, here's another dramatic title. It's called most of the hurricane poems are about Katrina specifically, but this is called What's It Like Escaping Something Trying to Kill You? A minister blames this on the slaughter of unborn children. We enter a tunnel and my breath holds itself for comfort. My father suggests we find a copy of the Green Book and pray over it. A car full of black people driving past Confederate statues. A strawberry zooms past my left ear. The wind smashes it against the bark of cedar. A fish drowns itself in the Mississippi. The one-eyed tabby is not allowed in the hotel. She too will float, but in a different city. 3 Ritz crackers on a paper plate. There was a bush separating the hotel from the supermarket. The president tries to separate himself from responsibility, but we see him too. Put those back. You're not wearing hand-me-down underwear. I eat lifted grapes. You call it stealing. Adults call it building credit. Don't you know I don't know where we are? What to do in a country that never wanted me here. Did you hear the one about God? I am blamed for laughing the hotel room into an awkward silence. My aunt sleeps, deaf as hands in the dark. 2 hurricanes in the same week. Such sororal horror. I put those words in there because they're hard for me to pronounce. Sororal horror. So this one I wrote, my friends and I, we did like a little writer's retreat, which means we like rented an Airbnb and just wrote there for 3 days. Yes. Yes. Falling on that. Yeah. So the goal was to write something that I had saw within that past day. So there are little random things in there, particularly food. So this is for my friends, but this is called All Day We've Been Speaking in the Dark. All day we've been speaking in the dark, and all day the bay horses graze. We are happy, we snore. We stain the dish with mixed berry marmalade. What if I stopped here? What if we all did? We are all happy and snore like overworked fathers and damaged mothers. Everything is a thick kilt pushed over the eyes. I might be wrong when I think all anyone anticipates is living, but are you all right? I crave quality fruit, ache for over-buttered popcorn, porcupines without the stick. We are all so formal in our wantings. We whisper walk down wooden hallways. We grow so hard we are dying. We are all happy and snore into each chamber of ourselves. The bay horses hide our dreams in the barn. We do not grab it from their maws. Our mothers are damaged and our fathers brew. Inheritance, a kettle crime. The water burns honeybush. Oh God, how the spoons chatter. The way you shake in your sleep when you think the train has hit you. The police will not break the door. The windows are open. We'll sing arrows into them. We are the commonwealth of hooded children in loud raincoats stealing a porch hammock. We trouble the Gregory Pecks down the lane and bust open the chest of neighbors' chaperones looking for Tom Robinson. It is too late for us to own the mouths of our own darkness. We can't be free. We live here. So when Ben was doing the intro, he was giving out all the good lines. I'm not my magnum. You wrote them. I know, but you know, we gotta build it up for dramatic effect. You know? The lighting is dramatic. I love it. So these, you talking about music? I talk a lot about music. So does anybody know who James Booker was? Yes. Okay. So, yes, sort of like mentioned in the intro, so James Booker was like called the best gay one-eyed piano player from New Orleans. There's Lily Keeber made a documentary called The Bayou Maharaja. Yes. Yes. Great. So now we're on the same page. Also, I'm gonna say this publicly because if anybody steals my idea, I said it. I would like to write a movie about it, and I think John Baptiste could play James Booker. I'm just saying.
You're right.
He has a cape and everything too. Okay. Oh, sorry. So these are 3 persona poems. Persona just means they're not my voice. So there was so much mystery and just, fantastical stuff about James Booker. Yeah, he was a fantastic artist. He dealt with, his mother and his sister died like back to back, like really close to each other, so that affected his mental health and all this other stuff. So just a very bright star taken too soon. So these are about, / sort of in his voice, he would play a lot at the Maple Leaf. Yeah. So this one is called The Maple Leaf Piano Speaks to the Bayou Maharaja. The stage is a red face of wrinkles, and you've returned from Nice with no record deal. The first time you vomited on me, I forgave you. Wore it like a brown dressing from Commander's Palace. The second time you spilled, blood swarmed the cracks of my keys, but you continued playing in the slush. You backwards Moses. I know it's not the way you wanted to mark me, but what do you have left to give but the remains of a sour stomach? I created you to glorify me, to show the world an addict in a wig could rattle my body with divine imagination. I handed you a soul that could not be taken by anyone who fears you. Booker, I want it back. So I'm assuming we all know who Harry Connick Jr. is, right? Yeah, this is the right city to ask who these people are. So when Harry Connick Jr. was little, James Booker gave him piano lessons. He also taught Dr. John how to play the organ after Dr. John was shot in the pinky and couldn't play the guitar anymore. So James Booker would give Harry Connick Jr. piano lessons, but also we know Harry Connick Sr. was the district attorney of New Orleans for several years. Yeah, Harry Connick Sr.
Oh, I'm sorry.
His daddy. The other Harry, their name is actually Joseph Harry, the Joseph Harrys. His father was the district attorney of New Orleans for several years. So what would happen is that he became friends with the Connick family, and like they sort of had a deal where it was just like he helped him get out of trouble with help my son play the piano. So 12-year-old Harry Connick Jr. speaks to James Booker. I thought you released spiders on the keys to mess with me. I'm sorry about the tape recorder. I wanted to hold your voice to my ear like a secret. Your voice floods the living room and I pour it on the piano like gasoline. You play Malagueña and the dam of me breaks like a voice. I've played Chopin's Etude. I've done the whole thing. I want you to teach me. My dad doesn't care. Come back when you're sober. I picked up the phone when I shouldn't have. Harry, come get me. I'm getting beat up by the police. You'd cry and I would just lull and talk and lull. I kept toying with the recorder like a rosary, like a light switch, like any little thing, like any little thing you could fondle in the dark. This next thing, so he had an eye patch on his left eye. It was a black eye patch with a star in the middle. So there were all these rumors about how did he lose his eye, and he would always be like, oh, well, you know, Ringo Starr's bodyguard to my eye, and so-and-so to my eye, da-da-da, which wasn't far from the truth because he worked with the Beatles, Little Richard, Aretha Franklin every time somebody came in town. So people think maybe he got like beat up and like his eye had to be taken out, but he always said that Ringo Starr's bodyguard took his eye. So this one is called James Booker Speaks to Ringo Starr's Bodyguard about, James Booker speaks to Ringo Starr about his bodyguard taking his eye. Very long title. You make a stranger perform your own tantrum. Don't be embarrassed. I'm still here. Where I am from, a man is judged if he cannot finish what he started, so finish me. Show me how you fight, and I'll show you how to possess Chopin and turn him into something darker than his own shadow. Little Lazarus, why wasn't it you who yanked the song out of me? I blessed the bloody knuckle with the percussion you could not make. The fist that was not yours formed into a furious tumor, a fat flounder forcing its living against the brown swamp of my face. You made sure I was open properly. If you were a real man, you would have let me feed your hunger in an easier way. Would have let me teach you facts domino with one hand held over my gaping left socket while the other hand danced among the ivories. Instructor of the obedient, I see you. We both call others to move for us. Both own heavy hands that draw blood from the objects we wish to be. We're just gonna stick into the persona real quick. All right, so question, do we all know the basic story of the Odyssey? Yeah. Okay, I'm just asking it. And also, has anybody read If Beale Street Could Talk by James Baldwin? Yes. Some people said, nah, I got you that time. All right, so this is from the perspective of both of those voices. Basically, I read both, and I noticed like a lot of what they have in common. So summary, Odysseus stuck at sea trying to get home to his wife and son. It takes him all these years. If Beale Street Could Talk, we have Fani and Tish are the characters. They're in love, they're gonna get married, but then Fani is brought to jail for a crime he didn't commit. They just took him to jail because he was black. And he is separated away from his wife and future child because she's pregnant. And it takes all this time to try to get these fathers back to their families. So that's what they have in common. I'm telling you that because I've recast the black characters from If Beale Street Could Talk to the characters in the Odyssey. So that's all you need to know. And they're epigraphs. It's separated into 3 sections because there are 3 voices. The fathers, like Fani, Odysseus, Tish, Penelope. The Fani's name is Alonzo, so Alonzo Jr. and Telemachus. So this is called We Wear Each Other's Names. The first section is Fani recast as Odysseus. The epigraph comes from James Baldwin. He knows that he must do something to keep himself from drowning in this place, and every day he tries. There's also a lot of like water imagery of Bill she can talk to. So 1, Fani recast as Odysseus. I understand the liquor in us. We are away seizing each other's throats, stomaching all the bitters, and here you are, an audience, making me a boy waiting to wipe the eye of want again. Stop turning the pages. Don't reposition your antennas. Mold me out of the hollow that governs my joy to the mouth of rest. The water fights me over and over while Penelope bathes him in a tub of big water that babbles his name. I am every tongue my son learned to use in the lack of me. My son, come seek a ship that survives its trip home. Call it mercy. Part 2 is the child, so Alonzo Jr. recast as Telemachus. Odysseus came home when Telemachus was 21. So the epigraph, again from James Baldwin, the baby asked, is there not one righteous among them? Is there an ethics to myth making? Is there a family that imagination is not allowed to touch? Fani wanted to build Tish a table. To remain the center, my father tried to run me over. A wound is a bare patch of grass on which a baby's head falls, a plow that parts the earth like a rat tail comb. I hold my father's absence because it is the blade of my becoming. I twist my wrist so every vein is upright and exposed. Do you see me bleeding in the way only children can? In what way would you like to be devastated? I already know the color of my own tenderness. Yours is next to mine, tracing diamonds around the television. Breathing is a tender type of breaking. A myth is just someone bathing a boy in water not yet made from weeping. And this last section is Tish recap. Thank you. We love a mid poem. So the last section is Tish from Bill Street Talk, recast as Penelope. This time the epigraph comes from Homer. And now again the storm winds have caught away my beloved son. I say I live in a shushing, a woman waiting while a hero is out. Can you tell me it doesn't hurt to live here? Can you return to, for me, silence me out of witnessing myself? Unmistakably American, I stab the onions. I wash a boy's hair in a warehouse fashioned into love. Sleep, I never do this. You are the toy civilian perched in the glass window, your bow and arm stuck flexing. I am the hand that paddles your parting. You are the shape without makes around the body. Moiety is an arrow campaigning for our now. All the world, the water, and just like the water, these throats want you dead. I say I live in a shushing, a hero out, wow. Can you tell me it doesn't hurt to live here? Return to, for me. Silence me out of witnessing myself. I stab, I never do this. Moiety and arrow campaigning for our now. All the world, the water, and just like the water, these throats want you dead. I think I might read something from my, well, wait. And I read this, and then I may read something from my phone. It's another one of the I'm Always So Serious poems. I stopped because I'm like, okay, the first one I read about the house, this is like a part 2, a different house, so I write about houses sometimes not. So this is also called I'm Always So Serious. And the first line comes from the line from a Frank Ocean song. So that's all you should know. I'm always so serious. I was spoiled by lavish thoughts, I admit it. History almost unchained itself from my weaker clavicle. Everyone looked so excited on the anniversary of assassination. I wrote this because I want to live in the house I cannot own because I am not white. Forgive me. I've said this before, but I was in a different state. A softer mania, and this time a wife lunged towards the mouths of overwatered magnolias. They were already dead. At my home, 2 chickens pecked the yard and refused to leave us eggs. I refused to rest out of unmet want. I harassed the gnats in the bathroom. I fixed the Sprite, wash your back, watched the night, eat all the dead crab. You watch me accumulate in particulars. I stretched the curtains. This is daylight. The swelling of a lizard's red throat. Inside the home I want for the wrong reason, there is a lamp that won't work. I know because the owners keep their blinds open. The husband joins his wife near the olive-shaded lamp and quails as his raging lover seizes the neck of the fixture. I shudder in the passenger seat of this city, far enough to not be heard, but a light shines bright and I am seen, sleuthing and serious. I know close violences still form in the absence of one. I keep walking as the husband shuts the blinds. I got a little time left. Okay, listen. What am I doing? I'm doing me. Okay, so the front row heard what I was singing, but
we all did, girl.
Hey, okay, so this one, it's called The Art of London Firearms. So, like the poem explains, I was in the Met. My family and I were in the Met. They were there for my graduation. So the name of the exhibit is called The Art of Firearms. That's all you need to know. So, The Art of London Firearms. For the sake of living longer, we should not eat this. The bottomless pan of mac and cheese stringing itself from itself to the porcelain plate as the television drones and the men with glasses like mine, the frames that make us look smarter than what we are, talk about Florida, its shores, its hurricanes, prisons and poisons before all that killing for the sake of killing, my mother says, as we split the tender meat falling from the bone of the bird buried in barbecue. To sleep peacefully amid a habit of watching videos of greyhounds hunting plastic eggs for the treats inside. Always another animal wants to feed on our insides, lick the walls of our throats. The buffalo with its head bowed, ready to blunt the horse-carrying empire. The steel spread around the grip of the sculpted walnut encased in glass. At the Met, we view this art, the art of London firearms, the beauty of European gun making, packaged and brilliant because it is a violence not meant for us to succumb to. At our American table, eating cheese, imported from Rome, cured pieces of pancetta, imported from Rome, and wine from the fridge. I remember reading that if it was possible to domesticate the zebras, it would be over for them. All the force we claim as talent would be used to keep the imported zebra horse hybrids hostage and galloping on the grasslands of Gainesville or near the swamps of the Everglades, all their mothers braying from lack back home in Africa. But what do you know about being tamed? Each of us now in our petless zebra world are wondering when the next body will fall and how long it will take the men whose tongues rise and bow like the heads of buffaloes to blame the violence not meant for them on something that is not the barrel, not the bullet, walnut, rosewood, platinum, or plastic carving death in our insides. No, we want the smoke. Just like the gazelle and the little man on his yellow chariot eyeing her body for burial. We are so barbaric, we are human. Every day pretending we don't know surviving requires us to hurt someone. This is a shorter one. I think I'm going to read this after this, maybe two more, but I'm almost done. This one is called I Have Not Yet Shown My Teeth. So have we all, if we've been on St. Charles, again, a St. Charles poem, do you see the mule that pulls the Roman candy cart? So this is written from the perspective of the mule. I don't know, horses and mules, they all have such sad eyes. You know, they all look so sad.
Out of the wilds, they don't.
I know, because they're free. So, this one is called I Have Not Yet Shown My Teeth. I am still the mule pulling Roman candy along the avenue, angry the birds wear no blinds. There is nothing wrong with an animal made from its muzzle. We are trained to be strong, the latch married to my throat. This is the hurt in me. I am belligerent with need I cannot see through. Obedience is the sickness of my body. There is always more to tell you, but I am shackled to his lash. We have not yet shown our teeth. His candy stretches. I am made to smell it. His world a window I cannot close. I have considered the river, its crashing current, the shore it shatters, the world and its nasty weight on my coffin bone. I can be used, therefore I will be left alive. The carriage crawls and no corner knows me outside my labor. You watch, no question, my buck, it's carnage, my schooling when I break. Yeah, I think I have 2 more poems. So which one are we going to read? I think I'm going to I should have had them numbered before I came. But I think the next one I'm going to read would be, let's see what it is. Let's read this one. I don't know if you can see it. It's sort of, it's like a sideways triangle. That's all you need to know. Yes, shapes. Okay. So, this is an autocorrect poem because technology. I was texting my friends. The title is called "My Phone Autocorrects Nigga Tonight," like nighttime, NIGHT. So here you go. My nights play cousin to their mother's favorite kettles. My nights won't consume their reflections, so they pour milk in their coffee. My nights never rest, so they sing their shadows to sleep. Sometimes they don't remember any words. My nights have frogs stuck in their throats. No light soul, every bit of pain. My nights all Louis Armstrong minus a trumpet, and my nights play chicken with the train. My nights both shoe and polish, both Sambo and Bruce Leroy. We all little pretty medallions on our grandmother's nightstands. My nights are mistaken for other nights that bear no resemblance. I saw the sinew of the oldest knight in the neighborhood on the floor, his saint pendant missing. All the small, down-feathered knights scatter from the groan of pig sirens. My nights don't know their history. My nights are the pecans without the trees that grow them. My nights instruct all the people in their head to weep. My nights hate the firefly cutting their darkness. My night, did you see them? They just walked right past us and didn't even speak. My nights are ordinary, wear ruffled socks, have the best belts. My nights don't always go to church, but my nights are lambs worthy of the morning. My nights are revised constitutions, crypt keepers. My nights are a congregation of alligators on a rumpus bayou. My nights hiss into themselves. No one hears. Their blood rolls its eyes. My nights chew gum and sunflower seeds. My nights eat pork. My nights get the itis and slur their speech. My nights protest protests. The government watches. My nights live in Brazil, Botswana, the Congo, Cuba, DR, France, Grenada, Greece, Honduras, Ireland, Liberia, Lithuania, Nigeria, Venezuela, Zimbabwe. My nights live in America to remind you of me. Some people think my nights are better with their eyes closed, but my nights have beautiful corneas. My nights wash clothes that don't belong to them and won't look their bosses in the eye. My nights know necessity. My nights oblige. When my nights die, I wash them on my kitchen table. After my nights are washed, I throw away the table. My nights have names. My nights smell of sage. My nights smell of the muddy rivers they will never swim in again. Thank you. I'm gonna stop right there. Sorry.
One more time for Karisma, and for Henry, and for Tay, and all the way back to the beginning for Daniel. Come on, give it up. How about it? We're back, ladies and gentlemen. We are back, we are back, we are back, and we will be back tomorrow night at 7 o'clock at the Zeitgeist. Look, a couple quick thanks to our readers. Thank you for bringing the house down. To the Saturn Bar, thank you for hosting us and having the house brought down on top of us. And thank you guys for being here tonight and bringing the pain. Thank you so much. We'll see you tomorrow.